Hello and welcome to today's fireside chat on our introduction to Power BI licensing. My name is Carl O'Doherty. I'm the principal Microsoft licensing consultant here at Version 1. I'm joined on today's session by my colleague William Nelson. How are you doing today, William?
Yep, very good. Thanks, Carl. How are you?
Good, not too bad at all. So, Power BI, our topic of conversation for today's fireside chat. So, for those who aren't aware, Power BI, the actual Wikipedia or Microsoft definition for it is it's an interactive data visualization software product. And as we all know, it focuses on business intelligence. And I suppose what most people will also be familiar with the fact that it sits within Microsoft's Power BI family of products. So important to call out this session that we're recording today is going to form part of a series of licensing sessions that we're going to deliver around Power Platform itself and all the various different components of that from a licensing perspective. Um, Before we get into the detail, I think it's important that people get a grasp in terms of what are the different types of users that one would have when it comes to using Power BI. And from there, we can talk a little bit about the various different licensing models that you will associate with those particular types of users. So first of all, you're going to have users that will build and create Power BI content, as in reports and dashboards. Then you're going to have users that will be simply just consuming Power BI content. And then I guess you're going to have users who will do both of the above, right? They're going to create content and they're also going to be consuming content. So, William, you're on the commercial side of the business, working with our customers to help them formulate licensing models, particularly through the CSP program. So just at a glance, what are the what are the three, I guess you could say, flavors of licensing metrics that exist within Power BI? And I guess it's probably fair to say there's probably flavors within the flavors or blended flavors of the flavors. So
Yeah. Quite simply, three categories, main categories, which is free. Then there's per user, and then there's the capacity model licensing. As simple as that, really. Um,
yeah, so free is sounds good, right? Sounds interesting.
um,
Everybody
it,
likes something that's free. So
Everyone loves a bit
what's
of,
the catch?
yeah. So it's really a means to an end. So it's a route of entry. So it targets, I suppose, small businesses or individuals looking to evaluate the Power BI um, platform before investing in paid licenses. So as with any free service, particularly with Microsoft, its features and capabilities are limited, making it pretty much unsuitable for most organizations. Um,
So it's still though, it's a good starting point, particularly if
yeah.
you want to dabble in Power BI and become
Mm.
familiar with the product itself before you
Yeah.
start to make a financial investment. So sticking with user-based licensing then, right? Because there's a variety of different models here, as you mentioned, right? We've got user-based, we've got capacity-based licensing. Um, Power BI Pro then, you
Yeah.
know,
Um, so this is, I suppose, Power BI Pro is really that best fit for users that are building or consuming Power BI content. Um, so it has many of the features um, of the premium level of product line, apart from things like specific reports, security, and overall sort of management features. But it's that step up to really getting into the detail of creating and consuming Power BI content.
yeah. So and I think it's probably worth calling out that it's, typically where there's a need for the specific features of Power BI Pro. And I suppose the key thing, organizations need to understand is at a feature level what's required. But if you need Power BI Pro only features, and you've got less than 500 users that will either build or consume Power BI content, and that they don't need those premium features, at less than 500 users, that is typically, the point at which you stay within, that per user based licensing for Power BI Pro before you
Mhm.
start to look at making it, stepping up between, pro to premium, whichever flavor of premium licensing metric that you opt to choose. So
Mm.
when we look at premium then, right? So what are the options available under
Mhm.
premium from a licensing? perspective?
Yeah. So you can the premium you can acquire this on both. This is where it gets slightly more complex per user or as a capacity model. So I suppose the per user on premium is really sort of the less than 250 users that require those advanced features at the premium level, but it's at a reduced price point when compared to the Power BI Premium P level, which is the capacity model. So although opting for the per user license can keep that initial costs of running the service down, there are some slight sort of feature differences between the capacity based alternatives as opposed to the per user based premium level.
Okay. So then, if looking at the premium P capacity based licensing model, I think it's fair to say it's possibly best fit then for organizations that may have like larger data demands or have a requirement for further enhanced security. But I suppose the important thing to call out when it comes to licensing here is that even if you go down the premium P capacity based model based on that need to attain, all of the key features of Power BI, you're still going to need a Power BI Pro or Power BI Premium per user license to
Yeah.
actually build those reports and dashboards.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. No. Absolutely. So anything that creates essentially will need that license, the Power BI Pro license.
Yeah. So probably a kind of a key takeaway at this point in the conversation, I would say, is that when you look at how organizations have grown their use of Power BI over the last number of years since the product has been launched, you typically would see pockets of Power BI Pro within an estate, and then that usage tends to grow over time. So, really important that businesses or public sector organizations, whatever the nature of the organization, whatever it is that they do, if they're using Power BI, it's really important that you look and benchmark what you're using Power BI for right now. Are you on the right licensing metric? Because
Mm.
you might find that over time that usage actually has started to grow beyond some of the thresholds that we discussed just now around, like,
Yeah.
if it's less than 200, less than 500 or more than 500 users, perhaps using Power BI Pro, is there an opportunity now to look at Power BI Premium P as an alternative, or equally as important, if you've grown your usage of Premium P on a per user basis and you're now over, say, 250 odd users, is now a time to take a step back from that per user model and look at a capacity based licensing model.
Yeah.
And I think the only way you can do that is by doing the maths, right, and seeing exactly what's that cost saving going to be on a per month or per annum basis. But then also, being aware that there may be some additional licensing dependencies there in the form of Power BI Pro or Power BI Premium P per user licenses to actually build those reports
Yeah.
and dashboards. So embedded options,
Mm.
there's two
Yeah.
flavors here, right? We've got Power BI Premium embedded,
Yeah.
and we've got Azure Power BI embedded as well.
Yeah.
So
No, that. Yeah. So it's really, I suppose, the premium level of the service, but where organizations essentially they want to literally embed it within a line of business application or a website. So it's not a standalone data visualization tool on its own, but it sits within other line of business applications, websites, intranets, and it's primarily focused on delivery of reports to those internal users for the Power BI Premium embedded. It's an annual capacity charge model, so it's slightly different to the per user and the premium capacity model, and also that again, as with all these things, anyone that's trying to or needs to construct or edit reports or create content within the embedded platform, they will need a pro license still. But it's where visualizations are ingrained and properly embedded within a website or an application within an internal business.
sure. And then Power BI Premium, or sorry, should I say Azure
Mm.
Power BI embedded.
Yeah.
somewhat similar. You could almost say Snap here on this one,
Mm.
but I guess you probably have to look at who this particular product is targeted towards, and this is targeted more towards the ISV type organization, where the sharing of information through Power BI will typically take place via apps and websites, but again for external users
Yeah.
as opposed to the internal user example that you've given.
Mm.
Again, a monthly capacity charge model. And also, and I think is the case in both scenarios for embedded, you're still going to need those Power BI Pro user licenses to construct and build those reports, edit those dashboards as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that about wraps things up for today's fireside chat, which was just as we said, a brief introduction to Power BI licensing. Like any Microsoft online service, we always encourage organizations to benchmark their usage so that you're ironing out any potential waste or identifying possible license optimization opportunities within your estate. As we discussed earlier on in this session, Power BI usage has grown in most organizations. So if you haven't taken the time to review your current Power BI licensing posture, it's a well worthwhile exercise, because in a lot of cases, we'll often find that there will be cost saving opportunities that can be availed of, and that will oftentimes just fly under the radar. So thanks, William, for attending
No,
today's
thank
session.
you. Yeah,
Some
that
useful
was good.
insights there.
Yeah.
If anybody has any licensing questions, be they Power BI related or any Microsoft licensing related questions, or any other software vendor licensing related questions for that matter, please do feel free to reach out to the SAM team at Version 1. We'd be delighted to field any queries that you might have. Until we see you on the next fireside chat session on all things Power Platform, take care.
Thanks.